Today's focus is on a Hertz clarification number one and a look at how sort of Elon's crisis of confidence as we look backwards can help set up the future of what we're going to be seeing from Tesla. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you'd like helpful tips on investing and trading Tesla, heading over the next turbulent few weeks, I think you'll find it helpful in your investing and trading process. We also want to note this is a copyrighted broadcast. Any use of the material here is prohibited. And we also want to thank those of you who choose to like and subscribe. So there are kind of two sections of our show today. The first piece is to look at what's going on with Hertz. And the second piece is to look at sort of the recent history of how Elon's activities have worked out in the past for Tesla. And I think highly likely that it's going to work out in the near future in that regard. So I'm eager to get to the second part because it involves 1,300 on Tesla. But let's start with the first part here. So if you read through what's been going on between Tesla and Hertz, Hertz indicated that they ordered 100,000 vehicles, and the plan or agreement is for those 100,000 vehicles to be in Hertz's fleet by the end of next year. So the disagreement seems to be, are those vehicles supposed to arrive at Hertz by the end of next year or not? And what's strange right now is that Hertz pointed out that, well, we've already gotten about 1,000 vehicles. We've had a large number of them, and we're making this commitment. The details of this, I think, are really, really interesting. So what was explained to me by a Tesla friend of the show was that in the case of Hertz, number one, there's no special discounts. And number two, the Hertz VIN numbers that are assigned to vehicles that will be purchased by Hertz are simply sequential to when those vehicles were ordered. So so some of them have already arrived clearly, but the impression I'm getting or the understanding I'm having is there's no special, usually when you order 100,000 vehicles, there are special things that go with it, like perhaps when they might be delivered, etc. The problem is Tesla's backlogged, and a lot of loyal customers and investors already have dibs on the vehicles that are supposed to be produced. Now, I really think based on ramping at both Germany and Austin, this will be a moot point by the middle of next year when both entities are running well. I think the backlog is going to be cleaned up quickly. So I don't think it's a major issue to have this thing clarified with the 100,000 vehicles that the folks at Hertz want. Now, the understanding I'm having is that where the unknown is that Hertz wants to basically jump in front of the line because they're buying so many vehicles. And Elon is saying, I'm not going to put you in front of the line despite your buying all those vehicles because we're backlogged anyway. And the people that were in line deserve their vehicles in sequence without you trying to jump that line. So I therefore think that there's a misunderstanding between the two sides on what's going to go on timing-wise, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing what Elon had to say. And the other part of that is that there's this idea of the increasing price of the stock driven by the fact that we actually saw a large order for what Tesla's going to do. And Elon has never really revealed any of what the real backlog numbers are, other than from the Cybertruck and maybe the Semi. All the other backlog numbers are pretty much top secret. So I could see why investors got excited when the numbers were announced. And then I really am looking forward to the extrapolation of this because I think there's a zero chance that Lyft and all the other rental car companies around the world can afford to not add sort of scale electric vehicles to their fleets because it would put them at a significant competitive disadvantage to Hertz. So, I think that 100 or 200 extra thousand vehicles is definitely in the cards. And what it says is all that capacity that's being added by Tesla over the next year is going to be consumed quickly. So we'll update you if we hear more of this. But what it's suggesting is that Elon actually told the truth, and it shouldn't be a big deal. What it should say is the kind of backlog that Tesla ends up with shows the powerful growth rate of the company, and it works great, all good. Plus, they're not discounting. So we look forward to your comments on this. And so I really think this shouldn't be a big deal in terms of, if anything, it should be the benefit of Tesla that they have increasing demand in this fashion that's coming from all these other entities that want the cars. So the next thing that we wanted to review is what's the trend on what Elon just did at this price point. So one of our Tesla viewer friends pointed out a few things. A couple of years ago when Elon announced that he thought the stock price was too high and it dropped, he pointed out to me that I don't think there's anything to worry about. In fact, what he said to me was, I think the stock is going to be over 1,300 by Thanksgiving. And I really think that this is all driven by increased production capacity combined with the size of the backlog. But basically what he was saying was that we're in an interesting zone right now because Elon made this comment in the past, stock dropped. Then what happened was it was announced that they were going to do a stock split, and the stock basically ran up from 1,500 to 2,000 or 2,500 a share prior to the split. So I really think that this is going to follow the pattern that we've seen from Elon, where he'll make a comment and then he'll look at the situation and make the decision to say, hey, I want to find a way to perhaps clean this up. And that's when we get to see a nice run from the stock price northbound from where we are now. And today, as I finished my conversation about this yesterday, we put this concept out there this morning in our pre-market note to our Patreon supporters, and the stock is up $50 already. So I really think that, 100 to 200 points in the next few days is highly likely, only because the percentage or amount of shares Elon is selling is fairly low. Huge backlog, large number or shortage of vehicles, creating giant backlogs. And speaking of that, and just how numbers really work, I was fascinated by is I had to get some tires for my vehicle. So I actually ended up buying them at Walmart. But then I went over to Sam's Club. So at Walmart, you can buy tires, just walk in, within a few hours, have your tires purchased, loaded, and you're gone. At Sam's Club, I actually saw Pirellis that were below $200 each. And they've got some Goodyear in there, some good brand, BF Goodrich, etc. And what I was kind of stunned by is they offered for $20 a lifetime warranty in terms of punctures and other issues, another good feature. But I was fascinated because what happened is that at Walmart, you can almost walk in and get tires put on your car. At Sam's Club, there's a backlog 3 to 4 days long for scheduling a sequential appointment to have services rendered there because of how good the price is. So I kind of bring this up because a lot of folks like myself, if you want to save some money but don't like Walmart, aren't going to take this advice. But I have to say these guys are really impressive in what they're doing, and the value proposition is excellent, and the quality and name brands that they're putting out there and at great prices, particularly the Pirellis, are mind-blowing. So if you're in need of tires, and I know some of you are running as low as 10,000 miles on a set of tires, they might become your new best friend in terms of finding the tires you need for your vehicle as you run through them in only 10 or 15K of high performance driving. So best of luck in finding something in that space that might be helpful to you. The final note also just a note, we do have some SpaceX shares if there's interest. We also want to encourage you to join us on Patreon for better information that'll help in your investing and trading. And then finally, please remember to like and subscribe. Next, we want to sort of move into our health tips as well. So what I just had an interesting encounter experience. What it is that I happened to go to a Cajun place and they had shrimp, and I ended up having shrimp for dinner and I guess breakfast with shrimp and grits. But what that reminded me of is I actually have a friend or an acquaintance I met in DC a couple of years ago, and he made a decision to that he loved shrimp. He was trying to lose some weight. So what he did was he bought a $35 bag of shrimp from the local grocery store. And he started doing a routine where on a daily basis, he would have a salad that would include, leafy greens as well as the shrimp. And he did that, I guess, a week at a time, usually, I guess, at least one meal a day in that fashion. Well, all of a sudden, he started having some health challenges. And what he was informed, because he's in his mid-50s, was that the problem he had run into was onset of gout. So as you age, there are certain foods that you could easily eat in the past in large quantities that no longer work. And, the impression suggestion that came out of this from his doctor was maybe once a week for shrimp, but no more, because how your body is reacting to it is causing you some gout issues, not grout. So I wanted to mention this to you briefly as our health tip for the week, to sort of note the intake of certain types of foods and quantities can actually generate health issues that create their whole new set of problems. I had a friend once who she just couldn't figure out how to lose weight. So she started smoking as a way to minimize her habit. But after she started smoking, she then had to get the patch to help her to stop smoking after she lost the weight. So anyway, there's some interesting processes that people use to address their health issues. And this is an example. Any rate, I want to thank you for taking time out to join us today. Tschüss, German over French Lihitro, Hebrew Choda Hafiz Strasjice, Russian, hello, Namaste, Hindi, Salam, Muslim, Hey Do, Swedish, good day, our friends in Australia. And in Jamaica, we say, Nuff respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Bye for now. And enjoy some sort of mellow time with some of the ocean video we've taken in different places. I'm going to include kind of an East Coast, West Coast thing where you'll notice the location has to be out in the water facing the Orient or facing Europe. And it'll be interesting to see if you can find some contrast in how the waves are moving, depending on if it's the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean, is one thing you might take an observation of for the ocean portion of our show today. At any rate, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Bye for now. Let's make some money today. Thanks. Bye.